Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, replaying a conversation from 5 years ago, wondering if you could have expressed yourself better? Or maybe you felt that gut-wrenching sensation when someone says, "I'm fine," but your internal radar is screaming that they're anything but fine. If you're nodding so hard your neck hurts, chances are you're an INFJ, or you know one intimately. Welcome, beautiful souls, to a journey into the depths of the INFJ mind, where we're about to unpack the things that make this rare personality type want to hide under a weighted blanket with a good book and never come out. The enigmatic world of INFJ, a primer. Before we dive into our list, let's set the stage. Picture this: in a room of 100 people, only one or two would be INFJ. We're talking about the rarest Myers-Briggs personality type here, folks. We're the ones who somehow manage to be both highly emotional and intensely logical, diplomatic yet unwavering in our values, and desperately wanting to help others while sometimes feeling overwhelmed by a simple trip to the grocery store. Think of INFJ as human mood rings with built-in truth detectors. We're the paradoxical personalities who can read others like open books, but often feel like we're written in a language nobody else understands. This unique wiring makes us incredible friends, advisors, and visionaries, but it also means certain things in life hit us harder than a triple shot of espresso on an empty stomach. 1. Small talk and superficial conversations, the INFJ's social kryptonite. Oh my goodness. Let's really dig into this one, because it's the equivalent of nails on a chalkboard for INFJ. Picture yourself at a company party, already stressful enough, right? And someone approaches with the dreaded, "So, how about this weather?" What really makes us want to teleport to another dimension? The painful small talk spiral, whether weekend plans, generic work complaints repeat. Those moments when we try to turn "how are you" into an authentic conversation about personal growth and watch people's eyes glaze over. Corporate networking events, where everyone's trading business cards but nobody's trading real thoughts or ideas. Family gatherings, where relatives ask the same surface-level questions year after year. The internal struggle of wanting to ask someone about their childhood trauma when they're just trying to talk about their new coffee maker. Real-life scenario: you're in the break room, and a coworker asks about your weekend. Your mind races: should I tell them about the existential crisis I had while reading philosophy books, or just say it was fine like a normal person? 2. Emotional fakeness and inauthentic behavior, the INFJ's truth detector goes haywire. Let's get real about fakeness, something INFJ can spot faster than a cat chasing a laser pointer. Our authenticity radar is always on high alert, and boy, does it drain our batteries. Here's what sets off our internal alarm system. The colleague who sends passive-aggressive emails with too many exclamation points. Instagram perfect social media posts that scream "I'm trying too hard." That one friend who says, "Let's definitely hang out soon," when both of you know it's never going to happen. Office politics, where everyone pretends to be best friends but talks behind each other's backs. Forced team-building exercises where everyone has to pretend they're having the time of their lives. Picture this: you're at a wedding, and everyone's taking selfies and saying it's the best day ever, but you can feel the tension between family members so thick you could cut it with a knife. That's the kind of situation that has INFJ reaching for the exit, or at least the wine table. 3. Sudden changes and unexpected disruptions when an INFJ's mental schedule implodes. Oh boy, let's talk about the special kind of chaos that ensues when an INFJ's carefully crafted plans get thrown into a blender. We're not just talking about minor schedule changes, we're talking about the complete derailment of our meticulously planned mental harmony. What sends our anxiety through the roof? The friend who cancels plans 10 minutes before you're supposed to meet after you've already mentally prepared for 3 hours. Surprise birthday parties, please. Just don't we need time to prepare our social energy? That moment when your boss says quick impromptu meeting and your entire day's mental schedule shatters. Unexpected house guests who just thought they'd drop by. Last-minute project deadline changes that force us to rush our perfectionist processes. Real-life example: you've spent all week mentally preparing for a quiet Saturday of reading and recharging, when suddenly your extroverted friend group adds you to a group chat planning an impromptu party at your house. The sheer panic. 4. Feeling misunderstood or dismissed, the INFJ's emotional paper cut. This one goes deeper than the Mariana Trench, folks. As INFJ, we spend so much time trying to understand others that when we're misunderstood, it feels like a personal betrayal. What cuts us to the core? Being told you're overthinking it when we're actually picking up on subtle but important details. Having our intuitive hunches dismissed, only to be proven right later. People mistaking our need for alone time as antisocial behavior or depression. Being called too sensitive when we're actually being appropriately responsive to the emotional undercurrents in a room. The frustration of trying to explain our complex thought processes and watching people's eyes glaze over. Consider this scenario: you try to warn your friend group about the toxic dynamics you've noticed in their new hire at work, but they dismiss your concerns as being too judgmental. 3 months later, when everything falls apart exactly as you predicted, nobody remembers that you tried to warn them. 5. Environmental chaos and sensory overload when the world gets too loud. Imagine your brain is like a super sophisticated computer that's constantly processing not just what people say, but their tone, body language, emotional state, and the entire vibe of a room. Now imagine throwing that computer into a nightclub. That's what sensory overload feels like for an INFJ. What makes our sensory processing system short-circuit? Open office layouts where we can hear everyone's conversations, phone calls, and keyboard clicks simultaneously. Shopping malls during the holiday season, a special kind of hell. Restaurants with music so loud you have to shout to have a conversation. Fluorescent lighting that seems to pierce directly into our souls. Multiple people talking to us at once while the TV is on and someone's cooking with strong spices. The struggle is real. Picture being at a family gathering where kids are screaming, sports are blaring on TV, 3 different conversations are happening at once, and someone's burning scented candles while cooking with garlic. That's not just overwhelming, that's an INFJ's personal version of sensory purgatory. 6. Conflict and confrontation, the INFJ's internal civil war. Here's where it gets really interesting, and by interesting I mean anxiety-inducing. INFJ have a unique relationship with conflict because while we'll move mountains to avoid unnecessary confrontation, we'll also stand our ground like unmovable objects when our values are challenged. What triggers our conflict anxiety meter? Watching friends argue and feeling their emotional pain physically. Having to call out someone's behavior when they're violating our principles. Being forced to pick sides in conflicts we can see both perspectives of. Dealing with aggressive personalities who mistake our quietness for weakness. The internal struggle of knowing we need to address an issue but wanting to preserve harmony. A typical INFJ nightmare: you notice your best friend's partner exhibiting toxic behavior patterns, and now you have to decide between speaking up, potentially damaging the friendship, or staying quiet, violating your own integrity. Talk about being between a rock and a hard place. 7. Time pressure and rushed decisions when an INFJ's processing power gets short-circuited. Time pressure for an INFJ is like trying to solve a 1,000-piece puzzle while someone's counting down from 10. Our minds need time to process, analyze, and consider all angles. It's not just preference, it's how we're wired. What makes us mentally malfunction? Being asked to make decisions in group settings with everyone staring at us. Fast-paced environments where quantity is valued over quality. Quick meetings that require immediate feedback without processing time. Supervisors who expect instant responses to complex questions. Social situations where we're expected to react immediately to news or surprises. Living example: the waiter is standing at your table, pen poised, while everyone waits for you to decide what to order. Your brain is simultaneously trying to consider your mood, dietary restrictions, budget, what everyone else ordered, the waiter's patience level, and that one time 3 years ago when you ordered the wrong thing and regretted it all week. 8. Injustice and unfairness, the INFJ's moral compass goes haywire. When it comes to injustice, INFJ don't just see it, we feel it in our bones. Our strong sense of justice combined with our empathy creates a powerful cocktail of moral indignation that can keep us awake for nights on end. What awakens our inner activist? Workplace favoritism and unfair treatment of colleagues. Systemic inequalities that others seem to accept as just the way things are. Bullying in any form, whether obvious or subtle. Corporate policies that prioritize profit over people. Environmental destruction and disregard for future generations. Real-world trigger: watching a coworker take credit for someone else's work during a meeting and feeling the physical discomfort of having to decide between speaking up, causing conflict, or staying quiet, allowing injustice. 9. Lack of follow-through and empty promises, the INFJ's trust shatterer. For INFJ, words and promises carry the weight of gold. When people treat their commitments casually, it's not just disappointing, it's a personal affront to our value system. What breaks our trust? Friends who consistently flake on plans without genuine remorse. People who make grand promises they never intend to keep. Colleagues who commit to projects then ghost when it's time to deliver. Organizations that promote values they don't actually practice. Relationships where actions never align with spoken intentions. For example, scenario: you've spent weeks planning a meaningful gathering, carefully considering everyone's needs and preferences, only to have half the group cancel last minute with vague excuses. Each sorry can't make it text feels like a personal betrayal. 10. Being forced to conform or fit in the INFJ identity crisis. Being asked to conform is like being told to cut off our emotional antennae. It's not just uncomfortable, it's impossible. Our uniqueness isn't a choice, it's our operating system. What makes us feel like aliens? Being told to lighten up when we express deep thoughts or concerns. Pressure to participate in social rituals that feel meaningless to us. Expectations to share personal information in group settings. Being labeled as weird or too intense for our natural way of being. Corporate cultures that demand extroversion and constant networking. Daily struggle sitting in a team meeting where everyone's expected to participate in superficial icebreakers, knowing you'll be labeled as not a team player if you don't enthusiastically share your favorite ice cream flame flavor while your mind is contemplating the deeper meaning of human connection. Understanding your INFJ nature, the path to self-acceptance. Here's the thing about being an INFJ: our quirks aren't flaws to be fixed, they're features of our unique operating system. Our sensitivity to these issues comes from the same place as our greatest strengths. Our dislike of small talk comes from our desire for meaningful connection. Our aversion to fakeness stems from our commitment to authenticity. Our struggle with sudden changes reflects our deep need for purpose and meaning. Our sensitivity to conflict shows our desire for harmony and understanding. Finding balance in an INFJ world, practical strategies. Living as an INFJ doesn't mean we're destined to be perpetually overwhelmed. Here's how we can thrive. Create structured alone time for processing and recharging. Set clear boundaries with gentle but firm communication. Find creative outlets for our complex inner world. Act with other INFJ who understand our unique challenges. Develop coping strategies for unavoidable situations that drain us. Conclusion. And there you have it. Beautiful souls, a deep dive into the things that make INFJ want to hibernate in a cozy cave with nothing but books and tea for company. But here's the magical thing about being an INFJ: these same sensitivities that can make life challenging are also what make us incredible counselors, visionaries, and champions for positive change. Remember, fellow INFJ, your sensitivity isn't a weakness, it's your superpower. Your depth isn't too much, it's exactly what this world needs. And your intuition isn't overthinking, it's your internal guidance system working exactly as it should. Guide to all the INFJ watching, you're not alone in these feelings. Your experiences are valid, and your way of moving through the world, while different from the majority, is perfectly legitimate. And to those who love an INFJ, your patience and understanding mean more than you know. Until next time, embrace your unique INFJ nature, protect your energy like the precious resource it is, and remember, it's totally okay to need a week to recover from that party you attended for 2 hours. Stay authentic, stay deep, and keep changing the world in your own quiet but powerful way. If you found this deep dive into the INFJ mind helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with other beautiful souls who might need to hear that they're not alone in their INFJ journey. And hey, let me know in the comments what other INFJ topics you'd like me to explore.